Okay, so in the last video we were talking about the count. So we know what does the count function does. It counts the number of records in the field name. So there are two additional forms of using count. The first one is you can specify count followed by braces with asterisk inside it, okay, or the parenthesis where you put asterisk. Now what does asterisk here represents is it counts all the entries in that particular field name. Okay, that is, let's say we have a field name called as product ID and we have 100 product IDs that has been represented there. It will count all the 100. Now instead of asterisk, if I give the field name itself, for example, if I'm talking about product ID, I give the same field name, which is product ID. Okay, so what happens when I give like this is okay, so what happens when I give a field name inside the count is wherein all the entries of this particular field will be taken into count except for those where if we have not made any entries, I mean to say if there are any null values in that particular field, that will not be counted. Okay, but in case of asterisk, even if you have entered the product ID or if you have not entered the product ID, I mean to say if there is any null value in that particular field name, it will be taken as count. But here if there is any null value, that is if you have forgot to add that particular entry in that field name, one or two entries, that will not be counted. Only those which has the entry, only those will be taken into count. Okay, so this was all about the count function. The next function is called as maximum. So as the name says, what does maximum mean? You should be all knowing it. So a maximum is a function which returns the highest value from that particular field. Okay, so when you are using this function along with the SQL, you have to use the keyword which is max, only max. Okay, you have to use it as max when you are writing the query in the SQL form. And when there is max, there is minimum also. So we have a function which is minimum. Now what does minimum does? Again, as the name says, minimum record, it returns the lowest value in the field. Okay, so the keyword that you're going to use while writing the SQL query is min, min, min in capital. Okay, so after this we have one of the important function which is sum. Okay, and the keyword for using it in the SQL query is also sum, which is SUM. Now what does sum does? It calculates the sum of the values in the field. So it calculates the total value in that particular field. Okay, now and there's another function which is very important, which is called as group. Okay, now the keyword when you are writing it in case of SQL is you have to use it as group by. So group by is the keyword which you should be using when you're writing or using this function in case of SQL query. Okay, now what does group does is it groups the query data according to the selected field name. Now whichever the field name that you have selected, it will be grouped according to the selected field name. Okay, so out of these few functions that we saw right now, you will be learning in depth about the group, wherein you can group the data, so using the group function. So we do have one example where we can explore what exactly does the group function does. Okay, so we'll just use another table that we have created earlier, which is the customer table, and we'll apply the group function for that. I mean the field, one of the field in the table of customers, and we'll see how exactly the group function works. Okay, so in order to explain how exactly the group works, we have this I have opened the query in the design view again, that is the design grid view, and I'm using the table which is the customers. So you have already made a note of this table and their entries. So I'll just select the customers, click on add, okay, and then choose close. Okay, I have my table here. Now what should I be doing? So in the table entries, you could see there are certain entries where the city name is I mean to say the city is of Delhi, and there are certain entries where the city is from Bengaluru, and there are certain entries where the city is Pune. So I just want to know how many are from Delhi, how many are from Pune, or how many are from Bengaluru. That is, I want to know the count, like how many Bengalurus are there, how many Delhis are there, or how many Punes are there. So for that I will be using the group function. Okay, so first you have to select the field that you will be working on. So the first field that I'm going to select here is the name. The second field that I'm going to select here is the city. You can all have all the fields of that particular table, but while applying the function you have to be very sure and specific that on which field you are applying the function to. Okay, so once you've selected the field names, by default the table, if you do a single click, the table name will be added there. Under the functions, you have to go to the second entry, which is the city, because we are grouping it based on the cities. So here I'll be selecting the function which is a group. You could see the function a group is mentioned at the last. Select group over there. Okay, and once you have selected the group, this is the additional thing that I've given here. So once you have selected the group, you have to save it. Okay, you can give some name. You can keep the same name, or you can enter another name, or enter. I've just changed the number here. You can do whatever you want. So once you have saved your file with the query name, so as you can see, I've selected the two fields. One is the city and the first name. If you want, you can add the third one also. So under city, I'm grouping the city based on the city name, which is either Bengaluru, Delhi, or Pune, and I want the count of how many cities has been mentioned, like how many Bengalurus are there, how many Delhis are there, how many Punes are there. So I've given the count here, okay, under the first name field. So after giving this, you have to save it, which you were doing already. So give a name, or if you have been suggested some name, just click OK, and then you have to click on run query button. Once you click on that, you could see the the output here. It says Bengaluru, there is 2 entries, Delhi 1, and Pune 2. You can check that with the table that you have made an entry long back. Okay, so you will be having that table in front of you if you would have making a note of that table entries before. Okay, so or else you can go back to the previous video and you can see wherever that I've showed the table. So you could see Bengaluru, I've made an entry of 2 Bengalurus there, and 1 Delhi city there, and 2 Pune cities. So this is how you use group by function. I mean to say group function, when group by is a keyword that you can use while writing the SQL query. That is, you're writing the query in the form of SQL. Okay. So this was all about functions and the group function especially. Okay. So yeah, so this completes the functions and the group concept. And yeah, so in the next video we'll be moving to the next chapter, which is forms and reports. Okay, so we'll be learning about forms and reports in our next video.